Good morning, grade 10 students. In this video, we're going to talk about the green plants for the week 24. Also, we're going to make a quick revision about the endocrine system and pituitary glands and their secretions in this session. So first, we said if a horse gets hungry, what does it do? Sure, it's going to nibble the grass or eat the grass. And then what's happening for the tiger or for a lion if it gets hungry? What does it do? Sure, it will hunt the prey or it uses this prey as a kind of food. While if you got hungry, what do you do? We said either you cook food, and most of you didn't do this, you order food. So here, what about the green plant? What do they do? So first, I'm going to start step by step in this lesson because we have different ideas, and these are the four important elements needed by the green plant. They need light, they need water, they need minerals, and they need carbon dioxide, which is the CO2. So here, green plants. What are the green plants? Green plants, they are the plants that contain the green chlorophyll. That's why they are called chlorophyll plants, because they contain this pigment, which is called the chlorophyll. So what is the chlorophyll? It's a pigment in green plants that absorbs the sunlight and gives the green color of the plants. So these plants, they are called the chlorophyll plants. And also they are called the green plants. While the non-green plants, they are called non-chlorophyll because they miss or they lack the chlorophyll pigment. So here green plants, they are the plants that contain the green chlorophyll and the green pigment. What is the chlorophyll? It's a pigment in a green plant that absorbs the sunlight. Green plants and water. In this experiment, the objective was to study the importance of water for the growth of the green plant. So we have two plants, one and two. In one, we have watering a cornfield that is watered. The plant, they are tall and they are green and they have normal growth. Whereas in figure two, we have a dry season. The plants, they grow slowly. They are yellow in color. They wither and بيتبلوا. And finally, eventually, they will die. So here they said complete the following table of condition and results. Plus it means our presence and minus it means absence. In the quiz, I won't give you the table. I want to ask you draw the table of conditions and results. So you have to draw the table of conditions and results. Sure, you have to draw it using a pencil. Sure, you have to draw it using a ruler. While some of you, they don't know this ruler. You have to draw using a ruler. And you have to give it a title. And the legend for plus, it means presence. And minus, it means absence. So these are important tips for drawing the table of condition and result. Draw it using a pencil. Fill it using a pen. Give it a title and a legend for this table. Plus means presence and minus it means absence. Then you have to fill the table. This table, you have plant 1 and 2. Plant 1 and 2, both of them, they have the light. So both of them, they have light. Both of them, they have CO2 in the air. One of them is lacking water and the other did. Sometimes you can, for example, separate, and I prefer this, to separate water. And you can make, for example, one column again, you can make minerals. So water alone and minerals alone. Every one of these present a 1. Okay, here in this question, I made them both together because it's similar to this question because it's a simple one. So minerals, both of them, they are exist. So here the variable factor is only the water. So the water is the variable factor. Why? Because water is present in plant 1. Why? It's absent in plant 2. So what are the results? Results, they are according to the variable factor. And your interpretation and your analysis should be based on the variable factor. So the green plants, they grow normally in plant 1. They grow tall, they grow green. While in plant 2, they grow slowly and eventually they will die. So this is because of the lacking of water. Next, moving to the variable experiment, compare the aspect, analysis, and draw out a conclusion. As I said the last session, these are simple and direct applications on the plants. Later on, and after 2 weeks or 1 week, we're going to move to the more complex exercises and problems. So step by step in plants. So indicate the variable factor. The variable factor in this experiment is the water. Compare the aspect, meaning that compare the appearance. Okay, so appearance of them. So plants 1 that are watered, they are tall and green, while plants 2 that are not watered. And here, pay attention. I talk about the variable watered not watered. They are shorter and yellow in color. Moving to the analysis, it seems to be, for example, it's similar somehow to the comparison. It's not like the same. So after watering, so you have to make it like, if, for example, detail after watering, plants one, the plant they grow tall and they grow green. While without the water, these plants they become yellow and finally it will die. While if I ask you interpret, I ask for interpret. What is interpret? Interpret, you have to do the analysis, analyze, plus indication. And pay attention to this. So interpret, it's analyze, plus you have to give an indication. This indication should be specific for the experiment. So here we can say, for example, plants one that have water, they grow normally, while those that lack the water, they don't grow normally. Conclusion, we can conclude that the green plant, they need water to grow tall and green. So pay attention to this. Moving now to the second experiment. In this experiment, we have green plants and A and B, and the objective of this experiment, which is the aim of this experiment, is to study the importance of mineral salts for the growth of green plants. As I mentioned before, if I ask you about the pose the problem should be in the form of question. So if I ask you, what is the objective or the aim is to study the importance of mineral salts for the growth of green plants. Why? If I move to talk about the pose the problem, it's very similar to the aim. Pose the problem, but it should be in the form of question. So you can say, what is the importance of mineral salts? So what is the importance of mineral salts for the growth of a green plant? This is the posed problem. So what is the importance of mineral salts, etc., for the growth of green plants? And you have to put question mark at the end. So variable, the posed problem and the aim, they are very close to each other, while the aim is going to be sentence is to study, to observe, to work, to identify, while the posed problem should be question. So pose the problem. It's the aim in the form of question. So what is the importance of the mineral salts for the growth of green plants? This is the pose the problem. So always the pose the problem should be in the form of question. So here we have two plants, A and B. Plant A was placed in distilled water. Distilled water, it contains no minerals. So there is no mineral. And we have the plant B, it's normal water. So this water contains mineral salts, and we observe after this the results. We have to draw the table of conditions. From now on, the table of conditions contains the variable factor. What is the variable factor? It's the minerals. Minerals, they are present in one of these plants and absent in the second. So here, table of condition, you have to draw it using a pencil, as I said before, giving a title, table of conditions and results. So we have two plants. Water is present in both of these plants. That's why we put plus in the plus. Mineral salts is present in plant B, but is absent in plant A. Light is found in both of these plants, and CO2 is found in both of these plants. Results, the green plant that lack the water, they lack mineral salts here. So these, they lack the mineral salts, they grow slowly, while those that have the mineral salts, they grow rapidly, and they eventually will grow tall and green. So here, the variable factor. So talking about the variable factor, what is the variable factor? Is the minerals. Comparing the aspects of the plants, meaning that the appearance of the plants. So plant A that's grown in distilled water, they are short, while those in plant B that are grown in water rich in mineral salts, they are tall. You can say they are green. You can use your own words. It's okay. I have no problems about this analysis. So with distilled water only, the plant A doesn't grow well, yeah, while with mineral salts, yeah, the plant B grows fast. You can say after placing plant A in distilled water, it doesn't grow well, while after placing the plant B in in water containing mineral salts, it grows fast and green in color. What is the conclusion here? Green plants, they need mineral salts to grow fast. So this is the analysis and the conclusion. As I said, if you wanted to interpret this, interpretation is going to be analysis, plus an indication. Moving for the endocrine system. Endocrine system revision in this way. So here first, we identified the first. Let's move to the endocrine system revision for this week. Endocrine system, you have to revise the glands and their functioning because you are how you have a similar exercise in the quiz. So you're going to have an exercise talking about one of the glands and their functioning in the body. So we have first the pituitary gland. It's located at the base of the brain below the hypothalamus. It secretes two hormones. It secretes thyroid stimulating hormone and human growth hormone. So thyroid stimulating hormone TSH and the human growth hormone HGH. So thyroid stimulating hormone, it stimulates the thyroid gland to secrete the hormone thyroxine, and the human growth hormone, it stimulates the growth and development inside our body. As you know, the thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the thyroid gland. So the target organ will be the thyroid gland. While the human growth hormone, it stimulates the growth and the development throughout the body. So if I ask you a question, first of all, if we did ablation of the pituitary gland and this will lead to problems. What are these problems? Who can give me the answer? I will give you the chance to unmute yourself. If you want to answer, you can raise your hand and you can answer the question. If we did ablation, sorry, you raised your hand before you answer. We did ablation. What the meaning of ablation? Ablation meaning that removal of. And we did ablation of the pituitary gland, so we remove the pituitary gland. We get out the pituitary gland. So this is ablation. Ablation, it means the removal of. Okay? So if we remove the pituitary gland, what are the consequences and what are the effects of this process or this this ablation? Who can tell me what is the effect or what are the consequences? Yes, yes, Fatima.
The pituitary gland won't be able to stimulate the thyroid gland to secrete thyroxine.
Okay, so won't be able to tell thyroxine. This is the first step. So I need the final effect. What is the role of the thyroxine?
Influence metabolic
Okay,
reactions.
metabolisms. So if we remove the pituitary gland, so this will affect the process of metabolism.
Listen.
Okay, this is the first effect. Thank you, Fatima. Who can give me the second effect of the removal or the ablation of the pituitary gland? Second effect. Yes, Mishimi. What can you think about the
Yes,
removal of the pituitary gland? Fatima said, first of all, it will stop the stimulation of
it
the
will stop
thyroid gland.
the stimulation of growth and development.
Okay, so it stop the process of the growth and development. Very good. Since it will stop the secretion of HGH. So there is no HGH, so there is no growth and development. Thank you, Sami. So moving to the second gland. Second gland is the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland at the level of the neck. It secretes the hormone thyroxine T3 and T4. This will influence the metabolic reaction. These hormones, thyroxine, will influence the metabolic reaction and will increase the metabolism inside the body, and it works throughout the whole body. Moving to the pancreas. Pancreas, we said that it's found or it's located in the abdomen under the stomach. It secretes two hormones, insulin and glucagon. We said that insulin, it decreases the level of glucose in blood, while glucagon, it increases the level of glucose. Insulin, when it's secreted, decreases the level of glucose whenever it's high amount of glucose. We eat high amount of sugar, food containing high amount of sugar, chocolate, for example, donuts, cake, and so on. All of them, they are rich in sugar, rich in glucose. So the level of glucose will increase above the normal one, will increase above the normal level. So in order to decrease and to be back to the equilibrium, to be balanced, the amount of should be at the normal level, insulin is going to be secreted. And this is one of the problems that diabetes individuals, they suffer from. They have abnormal secretion of the insulin, or they have problem in the insulin hormones. So this will decrease the level of glucose in the blood. This will work at the level of my liver muscles, and adipocytes, the lipid cells. Whereas glucagon, glucagon, it works to increase the level of glucose in the blood. So increasing the level of glucose in the blood, this is the function of glucagon. So whenever, for example, you are fasting in Ramadan, for example, you have about 10 to 12 or about 14 or 15 hours without eating. So this will consume all the stored glucose. This glucose is stored is consumed by the function of glucagon. So glucagon will increase the level of glucose. You have stored glucose before when you eat during, for example, night, or for example, during the suhoor, for example. So this will be stored in the body, and glucagon will use them back, and this will increase the level of glucose inside the blood, and it works at the level of many body organs. So you remember when I talk about the word glycemia? Glycemia, I talk about this. Who can tell me what is glycemia? Yes. What is a glycemia? Yes. Who remember when I talk about the glycemia? I need other than Fatima. I need new voices, new sounds, new hands. Yes, what do you think, Celia? What do you remember about glycemia? What is a glycemia? Yes, Celia Shogri.
Yes, it says.
What is a glycemia? Good morning, Awad. Good morning. Hi. Ifik. Niha.
Good morning.
So glycemia. What is a glycemia? Do you remember when we talk about glycemia? What is glycemia?
Um, it is. It refers to the glucose and the sugar in the blood.
It's a glucose level in the blood. Very good. It's the level of glucose. Thank you. So glucose level, or the level of glucose inside the blood. Very good. Glucose level and blood is called glycemia. Very good. Thank you, Celia. If I move to the word hyperglycemia, what does this mean? Hyperglycemia. Yes. Let's see the hands here. Yes, Kemal. Hyperglycemia.
A high amount of glucose in the blood.
High amount of glucose, it's higher than the normal. So hyperglycemia, it's higher amount of glucose. Okay, high glucose level. Thank you, Kamel. So high glucose level is defeated to hyperglycemia. So here, when I said about hyperglycemia, if you remember, I explained it as hyperactive. You are you are hyperactive. Hyperactive meaning that you are active more than the normal. So here we have high glucose level, higher than the normal. Why if I said about hypoglycemia? Well, the meaning of hypoglycemia. Yes, Yaqub, hypoglycemia. If hyper is a high level of glucose inside the blood, what about hypoglycemia? Yes, Yaqub? Hypoglycemia.
It's when your glucose is low, is
Low
lower than the
glucose
norm.
level. Very good. We have low glucose level. So here, the difference between glycemia, hyperglycemia, and hypoglycemia. So you have to keep attention to this. Okay? So pay attention to this. So this is about the pancreas. Pancreas secretes two hormones as a revision. Thank you, Yaqub. It secretes two hormones, insulin and glucagon. Both of them, they have different functions. Insulin, it decreases the level of glucose in the blood, while glucagon, it increases the level of glucose in the blood. Moving now to the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands, they are found on the top of the kidneys. These glands, they secrete the hormone adrenaline. Adrenaline, it regulates the ionic concentration and the stress level, and it works throughout the body. Also, we have the testicles. Testicles that's found in the pelvic region. The pelvic region, outside the pelvic region, it secretes the male sexual hormone. The primary sexual hormone in males is called the testosterone. Testosterone, it has an important function. It controls the secondary sexual characteristics, and it works throughout the body. So if you have ablation or removal of the testicles, what will happen? We have no secretion of the hormone testosterone, and also will affect the sexual characteristics in the male. While if we move for the ovaries, ovaries, they are found in females for sure, in the pelvic region, not into the outside. They are found inside the body. They secrete hormone estrogen. Next year, we're going to talk about estrogen, about progesterone in details. So estrogen, it has a normal function to control the secondary sexual characteristics. So if we remove the ovaries, ablation of the ovaries, so this will lead to the stop of the secretion of this hormone and will affect the secondary sexual characteristics in the females. So here you have to pay attention to these notes. These about the endocrine system, about the glands in the endocrine system. You have to review these notes about the glands. Already you wrote this on your copybook. Plus, you have to review about the plants, the role of each of the elements. You have to know how to draw the table of condition and results. You have to draw it using a pencil and using a pen. This time, I won't accept any of the solution in the quiz if it's not in the form of a good organization and good handwriting. And it should be drawn using a pencil and should be filled using a pen and should be given a title. From now on, grade 10, table and the graph. They obey. Remember when we talk about the nervous system and the law of all or none? So from now on, the tables and the graphs in grade 10, they obey the law of all or none. Either you get the full mark or you didn't. Meaning of that, if we have a table, you have to draw a table using a pencil, fill it using a pen, give it a title, and if it has a legend like plus or presence or minus, it means absence, you have to write it. These are the important elements in the table. If you did so, you get the full mark. If you miss one, you miss half of the mark. If you miss two, you miss all of the mark. Second, related to the graph. If we have a graph, the graph should be done on a graph paper, and all of you have graph paper. This graph should be drawn using a pencil, title, scale. If we have a legend, title for the axis, all of these should be done. If you do so, you get the full mark, meaning that you get the all. If you miss one, you miss half of the mark. And if you miss two, you miss all of the mark. So this is the law of all or none. It's not 100% applicable here. I gave you law of all or half of the none first. So please pay attention to these notes regarding the graph, regarding the table, and regarding their, for example, components, title, legend, scale, graph, and so on. So these are very important notes. Second note regarding the quiz. In the quiz, you have to use pen and only pen. Pencils are not allowed unless you have to draw a graph or draw a table. So this is only the pen. Others should be drawn using a pencil. It should be drawn using a pencil for the table and the graph. Others should be used a pen. Should use a pen because the pen is only one allowed. So you have to use a pen. This is the second or third note about the quizzes. I'm going to talk about the notes. These notes, they are your responsibility. You have to study them. Today, you have to study these notes because they are very important.